All right, so we're diving deep today into something I think we can all relate to, the power of words.
Absolutely. It's something we use every single day, but maybe don't always think about too deeply.
Exactly. And that's where our deep dive source comes in, the definitive guide to powerful words. It takes this everyday thing, words, and shows how they can really shape our lives, relationships, and even reality.
It's amazing. Like, I was blown away by how the book uses scientific research to back up these ideas.
Right, it's not just some feel-good self-help stuff. It's grounded in how our brains actually work.
And it's practical, too. Like, it gets into specific words and how we can use them more effectively in our everyday lives.
Totally. Not just theoretical concepts. The book even uses real-life stories, too, to show how this stuff plays out. For example, in the introduction, it talks about how words can trigger, get this, chemical reactions in our brains.
Yeah, it's wild. It explains how those chemical reactions actually impact our emotions and decisions.
Makes you really think about the weight of what you're saying, right?
Definitely. It really ties into the whole field of the psychology of communication. Like, even subtle word choices can completely change how a relationship goes, for better or worse.
So true. So much is communicated beyond just the literal meaning.
Exactly. Like, you can say the same thing in a bunch of different ways, and it'll have totally different effects depending on your word choice.
Totally. Okay, so let's jump into the first chapter. This one's all about the power of no.
Ah, yes. No, that little word that can feel so hard to say sometimes.
I know, right? But the book makes this awesome point that no is actually a complete sentence.
It is. Like, you don't have to justify it or
It's
over-explain.
so freeing, right? You don't have to feel guilty about setting boundaries. I mean, have you found that to be true in your own life?
Oh, absolutely. Setting those boundaries is key for well-being. And like the book says, it's not selfish at all. It's about protecting your time and energy so you can actually show up for the things and people that really matter.
I love that. The book has this great story about Sarah. She's a businesswoman who always said yes to everything, and it totally burned her out.
Oh, yeah, Sarah, I remember her. She felt resentful, overwhelmed. Her relationships were actually suffering.
But then she started saying no, setting those boundaries.
I guess what? Her relationships actually got better. She was less stressed, more present, and people respected her more for it.
It's amazing how that works, right? It seems counterintuitive, but sometimes saying no can actually lead to stronger connections.
Totally agree. Because you're coming from a place of authenticity. You're being true to yourself.
Okay, so we've talked about no, which is all about what we're not doing. But then chapter 2 goes in a different direction, the power of yes. And actually, this one surprised me a little. The book cautions against just saying yes out of fear or FOMO, that fear of missing out.
Yeah, that's such a big thing these days, right? That feeling that you have to say yes to everything or you'll miss out on something amazing.
Exactly. But the book's point is that a knee-jerk yes isn't always the best move in the long run.
Yeah, it's about being intentional with those yeses, making sure they align with your values, your goals.
So it's about being strategic.
Exactly. A thoughtful yes is like an investment. You're investing in yourself and your future. And the book highlights this perfectly with John's story. Remember him.
Oh, John, the software engineer.
Yes, he took this leap of faith, said yes to this job offer that seemed kind of risky, and it completely transformed his whole life.
Both professionally and personally, right?
Exactly. So it's not about shutting down all opportunities. It's about pausing, taking that moment to see if a yes really aligns with what you want.
So we've got the power of no, the power of yes. But obviously it doesn't end there. There's a whole world of powerful words out there.
Oh yeah, we're just scratching the surface. The book goes on to cover so many other words that can impact our reality.
Words about love, gratitude, apologies, asking for help. It's amazing how these simple words can have such a profound impact on our lives.
And it's not just about the impact on ourselves either. It's about how our words affect our relationships, our communities, even our physical health.
The book is full of incredible research on that, and I love that it doesn't just tell you what to do. It actually gives you the tools to put these principles into action. So are you ready to unpack a few more of these powerful words?
Definitely. Let's keep diving in.
Okay, so we've got this whole toolkit of powerful words waiting to be explored. Where should we head next?
Well, chapter 3 goes really deep on something pretty fundamental, the power of love.
Ah, love.
And it's not just about romantic love, but about expressing care and connection, in all parts of our lives.
Okay, yeah.
The book makes this point that love can actually be a verb, like an action, not just a feeling. It's about how you show up for people in your life. You offer support and create that sense of belonging.
That's a really good point. And I think sometimes we forget that love can be expressed in a ton of different ways. It doesn't always have to be these huge, grand gestures.
Oh, totally.
It could be these small acts of kindness, consideration, those everyday things.
Yeah, exactly. And the book even gets into love languages. Have you heard of
Oh,
those?
yeah.
So fascinating, this idea that we all have different ways we give and receive love, right? Whether it's through words, actions, gifts, spending quality time, even physical touch,
Mm-hmm.
and understanding your own love language, and then languages of the people you care about that can really make a
Oh,
difference.
for sure. I know I've definitely had times where I felt totally misunderstood because I was expressing love in a way that just didn't click with the other person.
Yeah, that happens all the time. It's so common. But if you're aware of these love languages, I think it can avoid so much of that, help you build those connections in a way that's actually meaningful.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so moving on, chapter 4 tackles another word that can be kind of tricky. Sorry.
Sorry, it's a small word but can be loaded, right?
Yes. And the book makes this really interesting distinction between a forced sorry and a heartfelt apology.
Oh, yeah, there's a huge difference.
It's not just about saying the words.
No, not at all. It's about genuinely understanding the impact of your actions, showing that you want to make things right.
Mm-hmm.
Like a forced sorry, it often feels empty, you know? It can even hurt relationships because it comes across as insincere.
It's like you're trying to avoid the issue rather than actually deal with it.
Exactly. But on the other hand, a real heartfelt apology can be so powerful.
It is.
It shows humility, empathy. It shows you're committed to making things better.
Okay, now I'm curious about chapter 5. This one's all about the power of thank you. It seems so simple, but the book argues that gratitude can have a huge impact on our well-being.
It really can, and there's so much research to back that up. Studies have shown that being grateful can actually boost your happiness, reduce stress, help you sleep better, even strengthen your immune system.
Wow, that's incredible. I knew gratitude was important, but I had no idea the effects were that far-reaching.
It's pretty amazing, right? And when you think about it, it makes sense. When you focus on the positive, on what you're grateful for, it shifts your whole perspective. You start to appreciate what you have instead of focusing on what you're lacking.
Yeah, totally. So it's not just about being polite. It's about cultivating this whole mindset of appreciation.
Exactly. And one of the best ways to cultivate that is just to make it a daily habit. Take a few minutes every day to just write down a few things you're thankful for, or express your gratitude to someone.
I love that. Okay, let's move on to chapter 6. This one deals with a word that I think a lot of people struggle with, help. You know, we're often taught that asking for help is a weakness.
Oh, yeah, that's such a common belief. There's this pressure to be self-sufficient, to figure everything out on your own. But the book argues that asking for help is actually a sign of wisdom. It's a strength.
I like that.
It means you're humble enough to admit you don't have all the answers, that you're willing to reach out for support.
I think it's especially tough for people who are used to being in control, like high achievers.
Absolutely, but the truth is, none of us can do it all alone. At some point, everyone needs help, whether it's practical support, emotional support, or even just someone to listen.
And by asking for that help, you're opening yourself up to new perspectives, different solutions you might not have thought of.
Exactly. It's about understanding that we're all interconnected, and we can accomplish so much more when we work together.
Now, onto a word that I think we could all use a little more of in our lives, enough. Chapter 7 is all about this, how it can be an antidote to that constant pressure of always wanting more.
Ugh, yes, that feeling of never having enough, you know?
It's so easy to get caught up in that.
It is, whether it's stuff, achievements, social media likes, there's always that push for more, more, more.
It's exhausting.
It is, and the book makes this point that embracing enough is about finding contentment with what you have, defining success on your own terms.
So it's about shifting your focus from what you lack to what you already have.
Exactly, and that shift can bring so much peace, so much gratitude.
Okay, so we've talked about the power of no, yes, love, sorry, thank you, help, and now enough. I'm noticing a theme here. These are all words that help us set boundaries, build better relationships, cultivate a more positive mindset.
You're getting it. That's the underlying message of the book, really. It's about using language as a tool for growth. And these first 7 chapters, they're like the foundation for that. But there's still more to explore.
Oh, there's more?
Yeah, each chapter focuses on a different powerful word, and they all build on each other.
Okay, I'm definitely ready to keep diving in. What's next?
Well, chapter 8 takes into a really interesting area, the power of I believe. How our words can actually shape our beliefs and ultimately our reality.
Whoa, okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about this connection between words and beliefs.
So the book explains how the words we use, both to ourselves and to others, they have a big impact on our subconscious mind. When you repeat certain phrases, certain affirmations, you're basically training your brain to believe them.
So it's like positive self-talk, but taken to a whole other level.
Exactly. And it's not just about thinking happy thoughts. It's about understanding that your words have the power to create your reality.
That's pretty powerful.
It is, and the book shares all these examples of people who have used affirmations, positive self-talk to overcome obstacles, achieve their goals, even transform their whole lives.
It's almost like you're speaking your desired outcome into existence.
In a sense, yeah. And the key is to be consistent. The more you repeat those positive statements, the more you start to actually believe them, and then you're more likely to take action that supports those beliefs.
So it's about aligning your thoughts, words, and actions to create that reality you want.
Exactly. Okay, ready for chapter 9?
Let's do it.
This one focuses on I forgive, forgiveness.
Oh, yeah. I know forgiveness can be a really tough topic, especially if you've been hurt.
Absolutely, it's not easy. And the book makes this point that forgiveness isn't about condoning what someone did. It's not about letting them off the hook.
Right. It's not about them at all.
It's about you. It's about your own well-being.
So it's about letting go of the anger, the resentment that you're carrying.
Exactly, because holding on to that negativity can be really toxic, mentally and even physically. It can lead to stress, anxiety, even health problems.
That makes sense. But how do you actually practice forgiveness? I mean, especially when it feels impossible.
It's a process, and it often starts with a decision, just a conscious choice to let go of those negative feelings. It might involve journaling, therapy, even just talking to a friend. It's different for everyone.
The book also mentions self-forgiveness too, right?
Oh, yeah, that's huge. We can be so hard on ourselves.
We are.
Holding on to guilt, shame for past mistakes. Self-forgiveness is about recognizing that you're human, you make mistakes, you're still worthy of love and compassion, even when you mess up.
That's a powerful message. I think so many of us struggle with self-criticism, setting these unrealistic expectations for ourselves.
It's a common struggle, for sure. But by being kinder to yourself, by practicing that self-compassion and forgiveness, you can break free from all that negativity, create a more positive inner dialogue.
Okay, we're making our way through this toolkit of words here. What's next?
Chapter 10 is all about I am statements, how they can shape our identity.
Oh, interesting.
So it's about using affirmations to define who you are, what you stand for.
So instead of focusing on your flaws, you're emphasizing your strengths, your values.
Exactly. And the book explains how I am statements are especially powerful because they bypass your conscious mind and tap directly into your subconscious, which is where your beliefs and values are actually formed.
So you're basically rewiring your internal narrative.
Yeah, you could say that. You're choosing to focus on the positive aspects of yourself, and by repeating these I am statements, you're reinforcing those beliefs.
And those beliefs then start to influence your actions, your whole way of being in the world.
Exactly. It's this ripple effect. It starts internally, but then it extends outward. It's a pretty amazing tool for transformation.
I'm really starting to see how all these words connect, like each one is a different piece of this puzzle of personal growth and empowerment.
I love that analogy. It really is like a puzzle where each piece contributes to the bigger picture.
And speaking of the bigger picture, what's next on our list?
Well, Chapter 11 explores the power of I will.
Okay, I will.
How your words can impact your motivation and commitment to actually taking action.
So it's about moving beyond just thinking about your goals and actually doing something.
Exactly. It's about making a commitment to yourself, setting clear intentions, and then owning those actions. The book says that framing your goals this way, with those I will statements, it actually increases your chances of success.
So you're going from a passive mindset to an active one.
Yes, and you're holding yourself accountable.
So it's not enough to just dream big. It's about taking those steps, actually making those dreams a reality.
Right. And it all starts with those two little words, I will. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground, right?
We have.
No, yes, love, sorry, thank you, help, enough, I believe, I forgive, I am, I will.
It's amazing to think about how much power these simple words hold.
It is. Each one is unique and can help us in different areas of our lives, whether it's relationships, mindset, creating positive change, it's all connected.
And there's one more word that I think we need to touch on. One that the book explores that might seem kind of counterintuitive in a discussion about language.
Oh, which one is that?
Silence, chapter 12.
Ah, yes, silence. Such an important one, especially these days.
I think in our busy, always connected world, we often forget the power of silence.
Oh, I agree. We're bombarded with information constantly. It's hard to find those quiet moments.
Exactly. But the book makes this great point that silence can be incredibly powerful. It let us take a step back from all the noise, connect with ourselves, listen more deeply.
It's about being present in the moment, embracing the stillness.
I love that. And it's also about recognizing that sometimes the most powerful communication happens without words,
Absolutely. It's about finding that balance between talking and listening.
between expressing yourself and giving space for others to share their thoughts.
And realizing that silence itself can be a form of communication. It can express empathy, respect, understanding, all without saying a word.
This has been so insightful. I feel like I have a whole new awareness of how the words I use or don't use can impact my life and the lives of those around me.
I'm so glad to hear that. And remember, this is just the start. The real power comes from actually putting these ideas into practice.
So what are some things our listeners can do, to start incorporating these powerful words into their everyday lives?
That's a great question. There are tons of ways to do that. But here are a few ideas.
Okay, I'm listening.
First, try starting a gratitude journal. Just take a few minutes each day to jot down things you're grateful for. Doesn't have to be anything fancy.
It could be as simple as a good cup of coffee in the morning.
Exactly. It's about shifting your focus to the positive, cultivating that sense of appreciation.
I like it. It's so easy to get bogged down with negativity, especially these days.
Gratitude is such a good antidote for that.
What else?
Try incorporating some affirmations into your routine. Pick a few positive statements that resonate with you and repeat them regularly. You can say them out loud, write them down.
Like, I am strong, I am capable, I am worthy.
Yes, exactly. Affirmations are a really powerful way to build self-confidence, reprogram your subconscious.
It's like we're building a personal development plan right here on the show.
We are. It's about harnessing the power of words to create the life you want.
Okay, that's 2. What's the third action step?
Practice active listening. So the next time you're in a conversation, really make an effort to focus on what the other person's saying. Put your phone away, make eye contact, ask questions to clarify what they mean. You'll be amazed at how much deeper your conversations become.
It sounds so simple, but I'm definitely guilty of not always being fully present when I'm listening.
It's a skill, and it takes practice, but active listening, it shows respect, it builds empathy, and it strengthens relationships.
These are all such great takeaways. But there's one more powerful word we talked about that I think is worth emphasizing.
Which one?
Forgive.
Ah, yes. Forgiveness is such a powerful act. It's about healing, letting go of resentment, moving forward.
And the book really emphasized how holding on to unforgiveness can actually be harmful to your mental and physical health. It's like carrying around all that baggage.
It is. Forgiveness is about releasing yourself from that. It's not about condoning the other person's actions. It's about freeing yourself.
But what if the person who hurt you hasn't apologized? What if they haven't acknowledged what they did?
You can still choose to forgive. It's not about them, it's about you. It's about letting go of those negative emotions that are weighing you down.
And sometimes forgiveness takes time, right? It's not always this immediate thing.
Absolutely. It can be a process, it takes effort, but ultimately it's about self-love and compassion.
This has been such a fantastic deep dive. I feel like I've learned so much about the power of words and how I can use them more intentionally in my own life.
Me too. And I hope our listeners feel the same.
It's incredible to think that we have this ability to shape our reality with the words we use.
It's a gift, for sure.
It is, and it's one that we should use wisely. So as we wrap up, what's the one thing you want our listeners to remember from this conversation?
Pay attention to your words, both the ones you say to yourself and the ones you say to others. Choose them carefully, because they really do have the power to shape the reality you want to live in.
That's a perfect note to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the power of words.
It's been a pleasure. And remember, in your words matter.
It's really pretty amazing to think about how all these words can shape our reality.
It is, huh? Like we've been talking about all this time.
Mm-hmm.
That main idea from the book,
Yeah.
it all goes back to that. Words shape reality.
Yeah, it is kind of mind-blowing when you think about it.
Yeah. It's both like empowering and humbling at the same time.
Yeah.
Makes you
Yes.
think.
Yeah, it makes you realize just how important it is to choose those words carefully.
Right.
Because you can use them to uplift and inspire.
You
You
can.
can create like positive change in yourself, but also the world around you.
Ab-
It's really powerful stuff.
Yeah. And the book really does offer so many different ways to actually do that, like all
Yeah.
these practical tools,
Yep.
from setting those boundaries, like we talked about with no,
Right?
to taking those leaps of faith and saying yes when it's right.
When it aligns.
Yeah, when it aligns with your values and goals.
Exactly.
Expressing love and gratitude,
Hmm.
practicing forgiveness, asking for help when you need it.
It's almost like we have this amazing gift,
It is a gift.
the ability to use words to shape our reality.
It is, yeah.
Not only what we speak, but also what we think.
Our thoughts, yeah.
So as we're wrapping up this deep dive into the definitive guide to powerful words,
Mm-hmm.
what would you say is the biggest takeaway? Like, what's the one thing you really want our listener to walk away with?
I think the biggest thing is just to Pay attention to your words, to
Yeah.
yourself, to other people.
Mm.
Be really intentional about the words you choose
Mm-hmm.
because they have the power to create, like we said, the reality.
That's such a good way to put it.
It's true.
So simple, but so powerful.
Yes.
And I think on that note, we'll leave our listeners with this one thought. If your words have the power to shape reality,
Mm-hmm.
what kind of reality are you creating with yours?
That is a great question to think about.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone.
Yes, thank you.
We'll see you next time.